Nvidia, AMD, Apple, and a lot of semiconductor and tech stocks just got one of the greatest news that we could get during this semiconductor and tariff craziness that is happening in the market. And obviously, this could change over time, but over this past weekend, we did see that Trump exempts phones, computers, chips from new tariffs. And this is going to be very, very bullish, in my opinion, for the tech market. Now, obviously, things can change and we can wake up tomorrow, the day after, and things can be a little bit different. But while this is bullish, in my opinion, I also feel like there could be some bearish side to this. And let me explain a little bit more and everything else that Nvidia, Intel, AMD, semiconductors, and tech investors should know. So let's take a closer look in today's episode.
I want to thank The Motley Fool for sponsoring this video, and check out fool.com/Jose for the 10 best stocks to buy now. With that link, you get a promotional offer for the subscription service. Now, let's continue with today's episode.
All right, so first we can start off. This announcement happened on Friday night, so you won't see much after hour movement happening right now. I'm pretty sure for each of these stocks, we probably won't see a very change in price until Monday morning. But when the futures open up on Sunday afternoon, I'm pretty sure we could see maybe the Qs go up a little bit due to this news. So first, the news: Trump exempts phones, computers, chips from new tariffs. And this came out from an update that came from the government officials. And here we can kind of see this U.S. Custom and Border Protection document. The link, you'll be able to find it online. But the country does mention that the following items are exempt, and they kind of give us their HTS number. Now, for anybody who wants to gonna go a little bit deeper and try to really understand all the products within there, I'm gonna give you go to Google and put HTS government list, and you're going to see this website right here where you can kind of put the number in and you can see all the things included here. So maybe you might have like an individual company and some subsegment that you want to see within the semiconductor industry. A lot of products here. So first, I think this is going to be very bullish, at least in the short term right now, for stock prices for semiconductor stocks. Some of the ones that I believe could benefit pretty big are obviously your AMDs, your Nvidias, your Intel, your Qualcomm, anybody that provides in the consumer space, even Micron, right? Because the Micron kind of goes in all these products. The reason being is, first, let's talk about it in the consumer side. In the consumer side, the fear of these tariffs were that they were going to increase the prices of a lot of the consumer techs, and that was going to drive consumers to slow down on purchasing. And in theory, if they slow down in buying new laptops, new PCs, then you have kind of like your Dells not buy a lot of CPUs and GPUs from AMDs, your Qualcomms, your whatever, into building their phones, their laptops, their PCs, and all that. So it was all going to trickle down into less chip spending. So now with theoretically, what this is, you shouldn't really see much of a price increase. There's still some tariffs included, but not those crazy reciprocal tariffs of 100+% growth into these 100% tariffs onto these tech components. So in theory, you shouldn't really see too much of an impact in this, and you can continue to see these businesses do well. And the kind of tariffs that they have right now, maybe we won't see a massive price increase in products, or you can kind of see a company eat up those costs, right? So on the consumer side, you kind of have that. Now, I do want to say with the overall tariffs, the consumer sentiment might still be a little bit weak, right? If consumers might be wondering, hey, maybe these tariffs I'm going to slow down in purchasing some stuff, even though consumer tech hasn't increased as much. I'm still seeing that pressure in other items, which have kind of decreased my wallet sizing. So that's something to kind of think about kind of in the bearish scenario. So that's in the consumer side. Now in the AI server side, obviously this is very beneficial, as some of these servers cost millions and millions and millions of dollars. Obviously companies like Nvidia, we've heard that they could kind of have gone through Mexico with some exemptions there. We do know that Nvidia builds a lot of AI servers in Mexico already. But regardless, this is overall bullish for the AI server space as well, as you shouldn't see much of a growth expense coming in for the AI servers itself. So one of the fears was because things were going to increase in price, maybe big tech will slow down on some AI servers, right? So this is kind of very bullish for the AI market as well. Now, again, great for Nvidia and everybody else that plays in the AI servers, great for consumer tech and whoever plays in the building and selling, like your Best Buys, your Dells, your HPEs that can pretty much go in both the consumer and enterprise and AI server market. So great news here. Again, check that out. Now, there are some fears that I have here. And first, let me explain one more thing too. So these tariffs, not only are they going to go with the PCs, the laptops, and other electronics. This is also going to exempt semiconductor manufacturing equipment, which is good news for foreign suppliers like ASML and kind of all these other semiconductor equipment players, because this is crucial, right? I mean, semiconductor equipment is very expensive, especially products from ASML, right? ASML is a $350 million machine, give or take a few millions depending on the machine. But a tariff on something like ASML would be insane, right? So it would definitely add a lot more cost in the building of foundry. I think hopefully the Trump administration understood that if you're trying to build foundries here in the United States and you're trying to create an incentive to build manufacturing facilities here in the United States, the worst thing that you can do is make the equipment expensive. So when they try to build here, they're actually going to be spending more money on equipment, which kind of decentivizes the ability to build foundries, if that makes sense, right? So hopefully for equipment players, this is it, because I was a little bit worried about the equipment market just due to these high tariffs costs. And a lot of these semiconductor equipment players only sell us a few equipments per quarter because they're such high priced. So that definitely could create some impact. But with this, I'm hopeful that we don't see much pushback into equipment manufacturing. Again, because if the overall end goal is to build more manufacturing and fab plants here in the United States, we've seen TSMC doing it, we see Intel doing it. This would have put pressure or a headwind into doing that. So I believe from now, equipment players might be safe, and that's my hopeful thinking, at least for now, because the thing that on the top level view, what Trump administration wants to do is bring certain manufacturing. One of those manufacturings is equipment. So you don't want to decentivize that from happening by adding tariffs into the components like ASML. So I'm hoping ASML technology and a lot of equipment plays are safe from even the future. My best bet is I think equipment players are going to be one of the safest, as this is definitely going to help provide or incentivize, especially as we saw, like I mentioned, TSMC investing 100+ billion into this expansion, and a lot of other semiconductor companies like Texas Instrument, like Micron Technology, are building here in the United States. So that's the thing. Now, I also want to say the following. For outside of the semiconductor equipment play, this isn't necessarily the end story, right? It is a good story, and it's a story we want to hear. But it's not game story, because there are reports that Trump plans to launch a new national security trade investigation into semiconductors, which could mean new tariffs on the technology sector in the near future, a White House official told Reuters. Now, I'm gonna guess that this is gonna be almost on a product by product basis and a company by company basis. If I was to make some assumption, looking at national security, what is crucial for national security in the regards of most administrations? First is the building of AI solutions, of AI servers, right? So that's definitely a national security, as in my opinion, based on my engineering technology and some of the defense places that I've worked with in the past as an engineer. AI is crucial for United States leading. So to me, if this is the case, I am going to be hopeful that AI servers are going to be exempt in the future as well. And if you're, for example, maybe like a Microsoft or a Google saying that I'm building data centers here in the United States, I'm going to be buying a lot of this semiconductor equipment, a lot of these AI servers, a lot of these products to build these data centers in the United States for AI solutions. can I get an exemption? Can I get some tax credits? Can I get something? I think that is very, very likely to happen. So in theory, I am pretty excited for big tech, especially big tech that invest in AI infrastructures in the United States. I'm also still very, very bullish and even more bullish on Nvidia because I do believe Nvidia is really crucial for the building of AI servers, which can easily be seen as a national security strength. So AI servers, like I mentioned, I also believe semiconductor equipment manufacturing equipment is going to be considered that as what's another thing. We want to build manufacturing stuff here in the United States. And if we want to build that in the United States, you don't want to put pressure into making that more and more expensive. So I believe equipment players could also be safe if we're looking at a national security. Now, what do I believe won't be safe in the long term of things? In the long term of things, at least with this tariffs, trade, laptops. I don't think laptops are necessarily going to be kind of national security market, and I could see kind of flip-flopping here, and it could be kind of like on a company exemption. Now I believe Apple and other players, maybe Intel, AMD, can say, hey, look, I'm gonna invest more in the United States, and if I do so, can my products be exempt? Dell Technology and all these players, but I think it's gonna be a little bit harder. So for me, I think if we're looking at national security, anything that deals with data center products, so if you can say maybe this steel or maybe this air cooling system is going to be used for my data center. And it could be tricky. I don't know how tricky this could get. But I think anything dealing with AI data centers, with the manufacturing of it, with the building of it, and the powers and the equipment to power it, I think they could kind of fall in this list of exemption in the future. I am less hopeful in my thoughts, in my opinion, and I could be completely wrong. Feel free to let me know in the comments below. I am less hopeful in consumer tech, as I don't think that would necessarily be seen as a national security unless they make deals with individual companies that show, hey, look, we're investing enough in the United States, can we get exempt from it? Now, I do have one big fear though with this exemption, especially in the consumer market. And the big thing is over inventory. Again, I'm not too worried, at least at the moment, for AI servers, especially in the long term of things. In the short term, a little bit hiccups here and there. But I think for the consumer market, the biggest fear for me is over buying. And the reason I say this is imagine if you were like a Best Buy or something, or somebody who sells consumer tech. Normally, you would kind of buy what you would expect for that quarter or for next quarter. You won't build up in inventory. But now if you have fears of all these tariffs increasing, you might say, hey, look, maybe I might buy twice my normal order or 3 times my normal order because I won't want to buy it maybe next quarter or so on and so forth because I fear that tariffs might come back. So I'm going to try to purchase as much as possible. Now, what I believe that could create is because, right, the fear of a lot of these exemptions can be eliminated maybe in a week, 2 weeks from now, or so on or so forth. To me, that could create a way that a lot of these companies create a mistake on how much they order, especially in the memory market, in the laptop market, in the phone market. And that could lead to an over inventory in a lot of these stuff and could lead for maybe a strong few quarters, but can kind of take to another correction where we might see lower sales as kind of companies try to digest their inventory. So one thing to some of the few bearish points that I see with this exemption is, one is it's not the end deal, right? I do believe we're going to see some revisions and some more tariffs or some new tariffs coming out to the semiconductor market in the future. I think it's more likely to impact the consumer space because it's not part of national security. The second thing is, right now the current exemption of it might create a way where players and customers over inventory or overbuy, and it could create kind of an over inventory issue in the future. Overall, long term, still very bullish in the semiconductor space, but I just wanted to share my overall thoughts here with the tariffs news. Hopefully I made some sense here, and hopefully the equipment players and a lot of these companies that I believe could fall under national security will be exempt, not just from this, but also from future tariffs that might be coming to the semiconductor industry. So I hope you guys enjoyed today's episode. Take care, have a good day, and see you all next time.